Hello everybody. It's Chewy again, real name Matt. It's Nick the Goblin again, and Mini-Val Charles. Um, we did the third and final of Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy, and seventh and final of all big budget Batman movies released so far, The Dark Knight Rises. And to say the least, it was a very satisfying trilogy ender. I'm going to put it that way. At the same time, of the three Nolan Batman movies, it is the most flawed. It's the third movie curse that we like to sometimes call it, where you have... It's like the original Star Wars trilogy. You had a great first movie, A New Hope, an even better and killer and beyond perfect second movie, Empire Strikes Back, and then just a decent third movie, Return of the Jedi. It's like that with Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. But overall, it was still killer. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Actually, I agree 100% with you. It was a great finish, but even I must admit, I see a lot of problems with this one too. But at the same time, like, I'm really not just gonna go ahead and say I like the action the best in this one, out of really all the Batman.
It upped the ante.
But it still isn't quite as intense as, say, the Dark Knight. And I actually really do like Tom Hardy here, but his villain is. He doesn't really go beyond what he has to do it here. I mean, he's menacing, he's pretty decent, but he doesn't really take a stretch or a real risk here. But he's still pretty good. But like I said, he's not really. He doesn't go beyond, say, like Heath Ledger did, and of course he's not over the top like the other one from the previous films. I'm actually gonna go ahead and say this. I actually really liked Catwoman in this movie. The way the character was handled, it was almost like the comic book Catwoman. She isn't as it's a totally different Catwoman than, say, Michelle Pfeiffer was portrayed. But overall, I like the character development in this one, the whole storyline with her, the way the character was handled, and actually I really did like Anne Hathaway in this movie a lot. I love the side story with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as
John Blake.
John Blake. I was gonna say Drake on the line. But I like those stories, but actually what didn't interest me the most was actually the villains, and the fact that, like, in the middle of the movie, like, Batman is really lacking in this. But overall, I think the action is amazing, and I really love the side stories here. What do y'all guys think?
Well, I somewhat agree about the villains. The villains weren't bad, they were great. Now, I really like the fact that they used lesser famous villains for this. Villains that weren't from the Rogues Gallery, Bane and Talia al Ghul, just like, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul from the first movie, played by Liam Neeson, who had a cameo in this in a dream sequence. First off, let me mention Bane. Maybe he's not as memorable as Heath Ledger's Joker, but I don't think any other villain in this kind of movie will be. But at least they went to the source material for this one.
Yeah, definitely.
As opposed to Batman and Robin making Bane's just some big grunts. No, Bane was introduced in the early 90s. I forgot which writer introduced him. But he was depicted here the way he was originally depicted, which was he's a physically challenging opponent to Batman, yet at the same time still very intelligent, smart. Granted, in the original maybe this too, but in the original comics they depicted him as more of a tragic villain, who, like in the movie, grew up in a prison, but one in South America, not Middle East like they made this one. But in this one, Bane and Talia were just like evil, man. They just like, fuck Gotham City, we're gonna blow it up, you know. But Talia in the comics was certainly not as evil as depicted here. You know what's funny? In the comics, she gets knocked up by Batman. I forgot if it was planned or not, but they have a kid. They could. That's funny if they would have made that, because you know how they slept together in the movie.
The movie would have been like.
Oh, what if during her death scene she revealed,
she's pregnant or something?
I'm pregnant.
I gotta say, I did like her performance in this.
Marion Cotillard, if I pronounced that.
But
correctly.
I will say this: I think she was a little bit in the first half underused.
Kind of one of those characters that wasn't important in the first half, and slowly but surely, you know, kind of one of those developed characters. You know who was underused in the first half? Jim Gordon. And then he's all throughout the second half, because he's in the hospital bed most of the first half.
He was great in The Dark Knight, I think. I think that's where Commissioner Gordon as a character really was on top. And Gary Oldman's he is Gordon to me. I mean, there's just no other Gordon.
The only great character I really felt was underused in this movie, as if the actor didn't have the time to film extra scenes, was Michael Caine as Alfred.
I noticed that.
You know, he's mentoring Bruce as the other movies.
Was he even in, like, the only scene I remember him after the beginning was actually the very last scene.
No, he's in.
I don't remember him, like,
the first.
Throughout the last hour of it.
He was. He was in the first few scenes, and when Bruce is Batman again, and he gets back from, you know, chasing all those motorcyclists in the streets of Gotham, you know, he comes back and Alfred gives him a little lecture, and then decides to reveal to him that Rachel was never going to go back to Bruce Wayne, that she was going to marry Harvey Dent, and, you know, Bruce Wayne felt backstabbed, and I don't know if he really fired Alfred or just knew that Alfred was going to resign and accepted it. But right after that, very emotional, very well acted scene, by the way, almost tear-jerking. Alfred's never heard of again until the very end, but at least he does show up at the end. At least there's closure.
Yeah, it's just a little. That's what I'm saying. It's just a little clip there, but it's like, honestly, if it wasn't for him even showing up at the end, I would have thought he wasn't even in this damn movie after like the first 30 minutes or so.
So, Chris Nolan made a big movie between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. It was a movie called Inception, which I think we'll review one night. And there's nothing, this is not a criticism, I love it because I love these people, but it looked like he took like 3/4, I might be exaggerating, 3/4 of that cast and brought them into this movie. Now that's in addition to the people who were in that movie who were already in previous Christopher Nolan movies. By that we mean Michael Caine and Cillian Murphy, who, yes, cameos again as Dr. Crane, as the disgruntled judge sentencing people, death or exile, you know. But Tom Hardy from that movie joins this cast as Bane. Joseph Gordon-Levitt from that cast joins this movie as the cop John Blake, and Marion Cotillard, if I pronounced her name correctly, from that movie. It looks like Colatar, but it's not spelled like that. See, we're stupid people. I'm sorry. She won an Oscar too. It's sad that we can't even pronounce her last name right. But she was in that movie, and she returns to be in this one. It's something Nolan does. Like, after one movie he does, he'll bring some of that cast to the next. Like, you got Interstellar coming out in November, and Michael Caine again, who's been in every Nolan movie, literally, no, for real, not an exaggeration, every Nolan movie since Batman Begins.
I was about to say, he wasn't in Insomnia.
He wasn't in Insomnia, he wasn't in Memento, we know that. But Michael Caine's going to be in Interstellar, and so is Anne Hathaway. And the rest is new cast, you know, like Matthew McConaughey and them. But I can't wait for that movie. But that's, we're not talking about a movie, you know, another movie here. We're talking about The Dark Knight Rises and maybe other Batman movies. There was no bad performances. Again, none of the villainous performances were as memorable as the Joker, but Tom Hardy, to some people, he may have sounded funny underneath that Darth Vader-ish looking mask. We're like this the whole time.
I thought it was pretty cool.
It was cool,
It is
and
funny a little bit.
But his dialogue was magnificent. I mean, even the very first thing you hear him say at the beginning of the movie, was like the best line of dialogue, Or perhaps he was wondering why someone would shoot the man before throwing him out of a plane.
Everybody says he sounds. I remember when this came out, everybody was like, he sounds like Sean Connery, and I was like, when I was watching the movie, I was like, yeah, or whatever.
You know, and I don't even think he was trying to do a. No, Tom Hardy got the voice idea. Some famous dude, which honestly he sounds nothing like, but I went to check him out when the movie came out. In an interview, Tom Hardy said he sounded like a particular TV person, like a fisherman. And I could be wrong, but really, I checked this dude out, and I forgot the name.
Crocodile Dundee.
No, and he sounded nothing like him. No, he did kind of sound like Sean Connery, but at the same time, the accent wasn't necessarily Scottish. He tried to pull off this kind of like Mid-Eastern, because he was from that Mid-Eastern country where he was put in that pit, which I think is like that prison pit that you see that Bruce Wayne's holed up in.
Kind of reminded me of the villain from the Road Warrior, Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I saw Mad Max Part 2.
But about that pit I was just telling about, that's a, because these Nolan movies don't have any supernatural elements like the comic books. They have a little bit of science fiction elements, but other than that, they're set in a real world sense. And it was like the Lazarus Pit, basically, which was popular for the League of Shadows and the Al Ghuls, We know how long the movie was. It appeared that each Batman movie, just like each of Michael Bay's Transformers movies, get about 10 minutes longer. This was 165 minutes. Just 15 minutes short of Lord of the Rings style 3 hours.
It felt it though. Like with this one, The Dark Knight, you didn't really feel it. With this
The Dark Knight was 10 minutes shorter than this.
And I actually don't think it's fair criticism to judge how long the movie is. I think it's more on how much it drags out or not. Like, cause there's a lot of long movies I love Seven Samurai, and that shit is like 4 hours. I love Apocalypse Now, and that's about 2.5 itself, 3 hours.
Well, the Redux is like 4 hours.
Yeah, and I actually like the Redux, not quite as much. But there's a lot of long movies that I like, but some movies kind of like don't need to be as quite as long as it should be. But I don't know. Maybe that's not fair criticism.
It's a very
particular movie, because I do like this movie.
It's a very common trend. Movies are getting longer and longer. Well, of course, their budgets are increasing. It's why ticket prices are increasing. Everything's more expensive. At the same, most of it's because of more advanced visual effects nowadays. But movies are getting longer and longer because filmmakers are trying hard, sometimes too desperately hard, to be more original. And they figure, well, instead of just making a plain Jane action movie, we need character development that takes more time. I love long movies because they're epic. But, I'm not just going to single out The Dark Knight Rises. We're going to go, let's say, the 165 minute and above area. We can mention the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies, but that's common sense. We all know that. Avatar had an original theatrical cut that was 160 minutes long. And then a direct, an extended cut that was 170 minutes. And then an even longer, full-on director's cut that was like 190. Watchmen's original cut was, which is also DC and Warner, 165 minutes and a big 3+ hour director's cut. 2012 with John Cusack was about 160 minutes.
I've never seen that whole movie all the way through.
The last Transformers movie with Mark Wahlberg, Age of Extinction, was 165 minutes, as long as The Dark Knight Rises. And again, I enjoyed it, but to most people, it's just boom, boom, boom. Why 2 hours and 45 minutes of nothing but explosions and stupidness? The thing is, people like myself continue to go pay money to see these movies. Because of that, Michael Bay will continue to make these movies. I'm guilty of it, but at least I enjoy those movies for what they are. We've gone way too off topic. That's unfair. Alright, about the movie. Time to get to what we need to criticize. And why I say this is the weakest link of the trilogy. Because it is so big and vast, there are like so many gaping plot holes and holes in logic that are almost too many to name. Take the big Wall Street scene, for example. They're robbing the bank. during daytime, and I understand it could be late afternoon, like super early evening, but still, they ride out with hostages on those cycles and are at the tunnel in like a minute. The sun does not go all the way down that fast, and it be nighttime. That's one thing. Bruce Wayne, he gets his back broken and taken all the way to the other side of the world in some possible fictitious third world country, and gets out of the, pit and gets back to Gotham so quickly. And I won't even argue how the hell he snuck back into Gotham, because there's probably explanations not explained in the movie, but still, it just seems a bit off. People get bitch about how did Bane and the League of Shadows know where to go in the sewer where the R&D department of Wayne Enterprises was
like
to blow.
Nobody noticed it.
But I think I know why. It could be explained. Remember who the real boss of the operation was, and she was working within Wayne Enterprises. Yeah. So see, some of the things that people have accused of being plot holes aren't really. You just have to put two and two together and be like, well, that's how they figure out. But
it's not really plot holes with me that bothers me about this movie. My problem with this movie, and it's really my only problem with it, is, like I said, I think it's a little longer than what it should be. I think the main plot here is basically, the whole key point to this is basically getting to the ending to where, all it really is about these two evil people trying to destroy Gotham City. And I think, alright, do we need this long of a film to get to that point? But I do overall like the ending of this. I think it's a very good wrap up to the trilogy, and I think it's a great action movie. And like I said, there's a few side plots that I liked. I really love the Catwoman side plot in this.
Anne Hathaway rocked. And I'm not even talking about when she's Catwoman. Particularly
just everything. She was good in this.
The party scene, the masked party scene, which I hope that was not a reference to Batman Returns. I really hope it wasn't. But it, maybe that's an element taken from the comic books, which is why both movies did that. But when she's dancing slowly with Bruce Wayne and she gives that little monologue about, you better bury the hatches because there's a storm coming. Her expression, her face, her vocal tone, it's attention to detail, nitpickiness, yes, but just the way that she does it just really, really blew me away. But another, maybe not a plot hole, but a hole in logic. The atom bomb at the end. First off, there was like a minute and a half left, maybe two at the most, when Batman decided he was going to fly it over the bay. But I can guarantee you, for their, not because it's not done in real time, but for their time, it had to have taken much longer than 2 minutes. Second, it's an atom bomb. You could bring it over that bay, but with the distance that it exploded at, sure, the explosion did not kill the city, but I freaking guarantee you the fallout will. But even in great movies, you have to suspend disbelief. And I really loved Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, John Blake. His
performance too was good.
Oh, but he's a great actor. He again, similar history to Christian Bale. And I think the reason why they've succeeded is because, unlike other child actors, they didn't go into deep in territory in their teens and 20s. If they did, we don't know about it. And if they did, not only do we not know about it, but they got their shit together. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a popular child actor, appearing in later episodes of Dark Shadows. I remember him in an episode of Quantum Leap, and then in a few maybe Disney-like movies such as Angels in the Outfield. And then he does a couple of maybe like teen movies, small roles. He appeared at the beginning of Halloween H2O, got killed. And he was in 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger. There's a meme. It's a picture of from the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Heath Ledger in their characters at a cafeteria sitting next to each other, and the caption says, "That awkward moment when you realize that Robin and the Joker went to high school together." But Didn't they play brothers in that movie? And they were cast that way because of their resemblance? I think. I don't know.
I haven't seen that movie yet.
But you know, he does a few things in his teens then. And then he does a bunch of indie stuff and direct-to-video stuff. Well, he was Third Rock from the Sun. We can't forget about that popular TV show. But then in like mid-2000s, early to mid-2000s, he's quiet and people forgot where he was, and he's doing maybe like stupid B-grade stuff, direct-to-video, whatever. And then he appears in a couple of movies. He gets a lead role in some thriller called The Lookout, which was actually a big hit of a movie, and a nice supporting role in that movie Stop Loss with Ryan Phillippe and Channing Tatum. He became good friends with Channing Tatum, by the way, Joseph Levitt. They appeared together in the first G.I. Joe movie. And then he just slowly but surely comes back, and now he's one of Hollywood's top actors, top A-list actors. We remember him as this child and teen actor for smaller stuff. He disappeared for a while, and now he's back as a top A-list actor. I just don't know. Words cannot express how incredible that is. And it's just like Christian Bale. Same thing. You know? Meaning, again, there's hope for child actors. There really is. If they keep their shit together and not get arrogant and egotistical and not dabble into things that you shouldn't dabble into, people can come back. Not just child actors. Robert Downey Jr. came back from below, you know, and he's one of the top 8 actors. Again, too off topic. Okay. but Joseph Levitt, I just love this string of hits he's on. It really it's inspiring. It really is. You know, and the rest of the acting, even minor characters, played their parts how they could. Some may have came off a little bit hammy, like the dude playing Daggert in the first half of the movie. The
guy was in Pacific Rim.
No, not him. He was actually okay. He was over the top in Pacific Rim. You're talking about Vern Gorman.
That's alright.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about the dude. I forgot the actor's name.
I know who you're talking about.
But
yeah,
like
he did.
He was in a few. He's a great actor. He was in The Place Beyond the Pines, a few other movies, but he was in The Vertical Limit. But he just came off as a little bit over the top or hammy because he had this.
He's
like,
not in it long.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't really ruin the movie.
But he was the corrupt businessman that everyone at first was working for, but really, Bane, you know, and League of Shadows took everything over. You know, Morgan Freeman had a bigger part. You know, I love how all the...
Actually, I like him the best as far as his appearances throughout this trilogy. I like him the best here, actually. I mean, he just, like I said, he upped his game in this one.
The thing about the Chris Nolan trilogy is that it's not all about Batman. When I'm talking about good guys and the heroes, in all 3 movies, and it got bigger and bigger, it's all about teamwork. In the first one, it was mainly just Batman and Gordon. He met Gordon, you know, Gordon knew him for the first time there. Lucius Fox barely did any heroics, and neither did Alfred.
And this one's like a team here. You know, you have Gordon, you have Blake, Selena Kyle,
and you have Lucius Fox, and even the second movie, you had Batman, you had Gordon, you had Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face and got corrupt, and you had Lucius Fox, and you had Alfred. Alfred played a bigger part in, you know, Batman the second movie. And then, of course, like you said in this one, it's a big team effort, and the chemistry between those actors and characters is just too perfect. Like, you could not have picked better people for any of these parts. You could tell that in real life, these guys, these actors, rather they were in the previous ones like Gary Oldman and Christian Bale and Morgan Freeman, or if they were new like Anne Hathaway and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that they developed some kind of bond. You know, that I'm hoping that they're good friends offset. You know, but only a small gripe. It's not really a problem with the plot. It's just kind of not what you would think in a Batman story. the climax, which was epic and very action-packed. Climax of the movie was set during the day. Batman is a night crime fighter,
Right.
and they made the climax during the day. Now,
I
thankfully,
think it worked though. There's a few big action movies that
well, no, your
do
typical
it,
action
but
movie
yeah, I know what you're
works,
saying, like,
but Batman's known for being a night crime fighter, and
that's
usually
true.
things happen at night. But
I guess they wanted them because of how the climax is written. Like, I guess they wanted you to actually see it in the daylight.
yeah,
Better than-
and it looked great too. It really did, especially that atom bomb explosion in the background with the sun shining. But thank God it being during the day didn't turn out as cheesy as the '60s show, which was always set during the day.
I noticed that. Alright,
And score was epic as always.
yeah, the score and the action was amazing.
Hans Zimmer did it by himself this time. No help from James Newton Howard, because James Newton Howard declined to return because Hans Zimmer did it by himself for Inception, and James Newton Howard was like, you know what? You do fine without me. And visual effects were top notch. So, and of course, they didn't. The only time they used Chicago in this movie is for the Wayne Tower. This movie was actually filmed primarily in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and as well as New York, to use as Gotham because they wanted to really set it at a different part of Gotham than the first two movies to kind of tell you Gotham is this big, to give Gotham that epic scope. But I think that's all I have to mention.
Alright, star rating.
Wait. If Charles has to say anything,
Yeah, do you have to say anything?
As far as anything, honestly, I could say it was a good movie.
Alright, good. Alright, what's your
Okay.
star rating?
I'm gonna give it a 3, a solid 3, which is still a positive rating, but that whole missing star is due to the fact of the gaping plot holes and holes in logic. Something that Christopher Nolan is smarter about and could have done better, but probably couldn't avoid because, again, he may have been shoehorned into making this third movie. But it was still a killer movie, so I give it the solid 3. And I'll leave it at that.
I'm gonna give it a very light 3.5. I think it's a good action movie. I think the side plots really work. The score is great. The act, it just that aspect of it is great, but it drags a little too much. And it does have plot holes and everything. It's just, but overall, I think it's a good ending to the trilogy. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5, but no more than that.
You give it a 3.
Mini-Val, you sitting back there like you wishing that you were, that you got to return to play Batman like you did in Batman
Yeah.
Forever. Why did my career go downhill? No, if we really want to talk like Val Kilmer, it's more soft-spoken like this.
I can't do his voice.
It's too soft, but it probably won't project well to this weak-ass microphone that we have here. But like, I'll get drive-through. Because my career, because I can't afford fancy restaurants anymore. Because my career went so downhill. Because I had such a huge ego.
How did he not break his teeth in Top Gun?
When he did that. Yep. Mini-Val, why don't you just one time give us the bite? Go ahead, do it.
Yes, give us the bite.
Come
get in
on,
this
do it.
review.
Alright, there we
You
go.
almost broke your tooth there.
Almost
Alright.
broke it. Alright, that's it. I don't know what since we've done the Batmans, I don't know what the next one is. We're just going to discuss it among ourselves. We might randomly watch a movie one night and decide, hey, let's review it. So, and that's that. See y'all later.